So in today's video, I'm going to show you how that little red dot is going to transform your ball striking and add over 20 yards to your iron shots. So many golfers really struggle, particularly with the irons, to deliver the club correctly in order to compress the ball, give them good distance and get that fantastic strike on the golf ball. Now, this little red dot, you're going to use as part of your practice to show you which part of the club face you're putting on the golf ball, and therefore going to help you get more ball speed, hit the ball further, and like I said, that nice solid strike. So you're going to pop the ball down on the mat with the red dot kind of about the middle, maybe slightly below middle, and you're going to set up to the ball and get ready to hit your shot. Now, what you will see with most club golfers is that at impact, there's little or no shaft lean, so very low on the face gets presented. Sometimes they catch the ground first, other times the club's travelling up and lifting it or top it. But what we see with the best players in the world is much more shaft lean, and therefore higher up the club gets presented. So I'm going to hit two shots and show you the red dots on here, but also on TrackMan it measures where my strike is. You might not have access to that, but you will have access, undoubtedly, to a marker pen where you can draw some dots on the ball. So we're going to set up for the first one, put a swing on it. That was a good strike, but felt low on the face. And we can see there, low point was behind. Carry distance was actually very good, but launching really high. Now, again, I'm going to get that dot in the right place. And that first one was very much what I see with lots and lots of golfers. High launch angle, ball speed not great, smash factor not unbelievably good. So, and then what we see with the best players in the world is a much lower launch angle, ball speed jumping up, and distance jumping up. Now that wasn't quite as exaggerated as I see a lot of the time with golfers, just simply for the fact that first one, it'll have been a bit of a glancing blow, so there won't have been a lot of backspin on it, so that will have got it going forward. So you dot up as many golf balls as you need, and if we look at those two strikes actually on the face, we can see that first one very low down, the second one a little higher up than TrackMan was showing, but there's actually more grooves on this ping face than there is on the model on the TrackMan. So what are we trying to do? Well, if our golf swing, the club's making a circle around the body, we're trying to get the low point of our swing ahead of the golf ball, and particularly with kind of 7-iron to wedge, a decent amount ahead. And as we move ahead of the golf ball, we can see that handle lean forward. And then, like I said before, that's going to present slightly higher up the club face, but much less loft. So I think a great way for a lot of people is initially set yourself up next to the golf ball and actually just look and try and hit ahead of the golf ball. So it's set up, look maybe 3-4 inches ahead, make that swing and get into that habit of touching the ground further ahead than you would normally do. Because probably for a lot of you don't touch the ground at all, because when you have touched the ground, you've touched it in the wrong place. So having done that, again, I'm going to focus my eyes ahead, make my swing, and we can see there on TrackMan, even though it was a little out the heel, low point was 3.2 inches ahead, club travelled down 4.2 degrees, launched at 19 degrees and carried 158. Now that was good, and the smash factor it showed there at 1.32 is just below PGA Tour average, which I would expect because that wasn't flushed out the middle. So I'm not going to do close in of the club face every single time. I'm going to use TrackMan because that measures that. But like I said, you might not have that, and that's where the marker pen on the face is perfect. So if you're somebody that just simply looking ahead, giving you that task, gets you ahead, gets that shaft lean forward, fantastic. But there's a few golfers out there that maybe feel that they need to understand how they get that low point ahead. So a really big difference between elite ball strikers and golfers who struggle with ball striking is as they get into the top, how early the pressure starts moving back towards the target. So nearly every poor ball striker, they get the club all the way to the top and then they start the downswing. We can see I bottomed out very early there. But what you see with all the best players in the world is as the hands get to about waist height, the fully pressure into that right side. So as the club continues back, they're already starting to move towards the target, and then it's much easier to get that low point ahead. So that can be a great little exercise of feeling that you move as early as you can that way. And again, we could see there, I touched the mat much further forward, and then if I can do that when the ball's there, we can see low point much further forward. Actually, maybe a little too far forward for me. Club traveling down 6 degrees, but launching at 18 degrees and carry at 160. So we can see starting to pick up more and more distance. But far too often those golfers, like we said, stood up there, trying like mad to get back to where they are at address. And they bottom out early, pop the ball up in the air. So launch at 23, low point 1.5 inches behind, and that carry at only 123. And they do get that odd good one like I demonstrated before, but it's just high, it's soft. And when they get into those longer shafts, it's really hard to start controlling that. So again, you might say looking ahead was good, but that moving early really, really helped. And definitely when I do that, I start getting my low point a lot further forward than normal. I mean, that one really launching low at 15 degrees, low point 4.5 inches ahead, and carry at 158. Now, if feeling that you move early is a little bit difficult, a good little practice exercise you can do is as you swing back, and maybe feel the hands get to about chest height, you're actually going to stamp your foot, lift it up and stamp it down, and that'll be that trigger to get moving. So do that a couple of times. And it definitely feels much earlier. And if you really want to then, try that on a shot. You might see tour players sometimes, you see them on the range working on stuff like this. And again, feels very powerful. So we see low point 3 inches ahead, launch angle under 18 degrees. Smash factor picking up, even though these aren't flushed, and carry distance again, just inching up at 161. So once you get that feeling of maybe being more aware of focusing ahead and moving nice and early, you maybe want to take a little bit of speed out to begin with, just to feel exaggerated with it. But even with less speed, you're still going to see decent club head speed, decent ball speed, club traveling down, and reasonable distance. And then if you can, you start working that speed back into the golf swing, maintaining that focus on what you're doing. And as you can get back to more of your normal speed, club head speed goes up, ball speed goes up, launch angle stays nice and low, smash factor jumps up, and carry at 163. Now we can definitely see the benefits of playing something with a little bit of forgiveness. This isn't a massively forgiving iron, but none of those have been flushed out the middle, and yet still getting some great ball speed from decent club head speed. So let's go one final one. Feel a move nice and early, be super aggressive with my golf swing. Felt solid. More out the middle, great club head speed, ball speed right where I would expect with this 7 iron. Clubs travel down 3 degrees, launching at 18 and carry at 161. But like I said, it's dead easy for me with TrackMan to monitor strike and loft. But if you haven't got access to something like that, a simple dot, and it doesn't have to be red, maybe just an association to my favourite football team or soccer team if you're watching in the US, but pop a dot on the golf ball, measure where that strike is on the face, and if it's too low on the face, you need to start getting that low point further ahead, keeping loft off the club, get that ball speed jumping up, improve that strike, and hit the ball longer with those irons than you've ever done before.